Hi there, and welcome to the Paula Fiscal Show. My show airs on Channel 29 at 3 p.m. every Sunday, and it is rerun on Channel 76. My motto is to keep you informed, and for today we have two very special guests that are here to promote a big event for the International Women's Day. And as you know, San Francisco is very active with these types of activities. So what we want to do is introduce you to Carol Ruth Silver, who will then introduce our second guest. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much, Paula. Thank you for allowing us to come and tell you and your viewers about International Women's Day, a celebration of International Women's Day by the Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee. I am joined, as you may recall, I am a long-time advocate for women, as well as an author. My book has just come out in paperback, Freedom Rider Diary, and I am going around to book signings, but today I'm here about the Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee. Hayward is across the bay from San Francisco, and many of us have been working for years to promote friendship between Hayward, the city of Hayward, and the city of Ghazni, which is in Afghanistan. And I'm honored today to have with me Rahima Asefi-Haya, who was the first president of the Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee 10 years ago. Rahima, I'm so glad that you were able to come, and perhaps you could just say something about what your activities were as the head of Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee.
Yes, I am Rahima Asefi-Haya. I'm glad to be here to talk about the Women's Literacy Program in Ghazni, Afghanistan.
And that program was 10 years was operating for 10 years. And what did it do? What was the net effect of 10 years of supporting a class for women in Ghazni?
When we went to Afghanistan 2006, we started literacy program for 85 students. Most of them, they were women. That they left out during the war and without education. So we started the literacy program in order for the women to get education and be able as part of society.
Well, most of them were not literate at all. They couldn't read their own names. Isn't that right?
Yes, the literacy rate in Afghanistan is the lowest among the world. About 85% of the women in Afghanistan, they're illiterate.
Isn't that awful in this day and age? But what's happening now?
I understand you're having a very special event, so we want to hear all about that. I want to talk about the International Women's Day, Girls Will Rule Afghanistan.
Yeah, we chose that name for the event. It was actually our new chairman, Hassan Etimadi, who conceived of having this event as the first event of his new presidency. And so, Rahima, what does it mean, girls will rule? That seems kind of edgy.
Because the girls, they don't have education. So most women before the war and after the war, they were illiterate. So we decided to start a class for these women and girls. Right now, about 4 million in Afghanistan girls going to school. But the elderly women and widows, they are still uneducated.
So Girls Will Rule is really a referral to the fact that in the international celebration of International Women's Day, in celebration of that, we recognize that there are little girls today going to school who years ago would never have had that opportunity. That's why there are so many illiterate older women, so many illiterate widows in Afghanistan. But these young girls who are now going to school, they will be the people, they will be the women of the future who will have an opportunity to be part of the government, part of the professions, the doctors, the lawyers, the psychologists. They will be the ones who will rule Afghanistan in the future.
And the organization, Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee, do you want to talk a bit more about the event that's coming up at 6:30 at Hayward City Hall?
Yes, our Girls Will Rule Afghanistan event, I should have said, is going to be held at City Hall of Hayward, the city of Hayward, at 6:30 on the 7th of March.
And we have a phone number in case those of you that are watching are interested in participating. That number is 1-800-831-2339. Do not hesitate to call. Remember, we want to celebrate International Women's Day, and Hayward is having a wonderful, wonderful event.
Yes, I think, Rahima, you can comment also, but the city of Hayward is a city that has had a female mayor. It has had many important women participating in the government of Hayward, and we hope that someday the city of Ghazni will have some of these little girls who are now being educated in Ghazni be the mayor of Ghazni. Why not?
And Carol Ruth, I do recall that you were one of the founders of the Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee. And Rahima, you were the first president. Do you want to tell us a bit about how that was?
Yes, I was the first president of Hayward-Ghazni. Seeing the need of the education for the Afghan women, my suggestion, I asked the committee to have classes for women, literacy classes. That's why we started the literacy classes for 10 years. And we had the 2 classes, and one in Jahan Malika High School for the women, and the second one was in Afghan Women's Affair in Ghazni.
And you also taught school here in San Francisco at which school?
I was at Tyrell Elementary School in Hayward, and also English Language Center, helping the community from Afghanistan, and also the students.
I think it's that's great, and we celebrate, Rahima, your service. I'm really excited at our new president, Hassan Etimadi. Not only did he decide that this would be the first event that he would sponsor as part of Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee, its continuing action in Hayward, but he chose the venue, and we're hoping that we will have additional people come forward with projects, with new ideas to start our second decade, because that's what we're doing. Hassan.
And remember, let's talk a bit about the soccer balls and the blood refrigerator.
Yes, that's right. In addition to the Widows Project in Ghazni, the Sister City Committee is a traditional international organization. The International Sister City Foundation in Washington has sister cities all over the world, between Afghanistan and the United States, between Paris and San Francisco, many, many sister city committees. And they all have as their objective promoting peace, friendship, and justice. And it is, that's what this Sister City Committee is doing between Afghanistan, a city in Afghanistan, and a city here in the San Francisco Bay Area. There are, in fact, only about 3 sister cities between United States and Afghanistan, which makes this one in Hayward a very, very important organization.
Well, Carol Ruth, I thought that the Afghani men were not exactly part of the women's movement. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, you know, I think you are right in the public perception, but we have been really, really fortunate to have joining the Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee a group of young men. They were translators when they were in Afghanistan. They worked for the State Department or for the U.S. Army to translate for the soldiers, and as a result of that, they were given green cards when they came here. So they are imbued with American values as well as Afghan values, and they are very, very interested in helping women and girls in the United States and in Afghanistan.
Rahima, can you tell us about the classes that are actually held there?
The classes, they were for 2 hours each day for 5 days a week. And when they finished the school, they were able to read and write, and they told us that they can read now the street signs and also doctor signs, and they are able to help their kids with reading and writing.
Yes, that's a very important part of literacy training. It's not just one generation of women or one generation of adults that you to whom you give literacy when you train people who are now illiterate. It is their children and, of course, the children of those children.
So for those of you that are interested in participating, remember the number is 1-800-831-2339. Don't be shy, give us a call, and you can be a participant in this International Women's Day sponsored by the Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee. And we're going to get back now to hear a few more of the activities for this day. They start at 6:30 at the Hayward City Hall on March 7th, of course.
Right, March 7th, 2018, 6:30 p.m. We are hoping that some of the officials from around the Bay Area will join us for this celebration of International Women's Day, and that the title of our organization's celebration, Girls Will Rule Afghanistan, will be sufficiently challenging that we will have both Afghan Americans and people who are just readers of the local newspapers as they listen to and watch all the terrible things that happen in Afghanistan. But we can look forward to a better day when the girls who are presently in school in Afghanistan will become the leaders of the future.
Earlier, Rahima, you told us that there was a certain percentage of women that had not been allowed to go to school. Well, talk about those numbers again.
So 85% of women, they were illiterate. So even before war. So their education also, they were also left behind because of the invasion of the Russia, and also for civil war among warlords, and also the harsh from the harsh Taliban regime.
Yes, so during the Taliban regime, so first off, as Rahima said, 85% of women were illiterate before the war, and that was because back in that day, it was not believed that women were smart enough to learn how to read and write, and the controlling members of their family didn't see that as an important skill. So a lot of women did not go to school at all, and there was no question but that they would do nothing but clean the house and cook and raise babies. Then there was a very, very forward-looking king of Afghanistan, who also had a forward-looking queen, and she and he began to legitimate the education of girls. And so that went on, but unfortunately that king was overthrown by what we would today call jihadists, people who felt that education for women was a bad thing. And then it got worse and worse when the Taliban came in and began running the country and prohibited girls. Before that, it was if you were from a family that could be convinced to send your girls to school, okay, it might not be the culture, it might be unusual, but you could. Then when the Taliban came in, no girls were allowed to go to school. That's why homeschools, what we call homeschooling here in the West, became very popular, and a homeschool was the only place that a girl could be educated during that terrible, terrible period.
Rahima, can you tell us some of the methods that you used to bring the women and their daughters to the classes? And I know you probably didn't use Facebook and Twitter or any of the current communication methods that we use here in the United States, or maybe you did. How did you get women interested to show up for these classes?
We started the literacy program in Kabul in somebody's living room. So we rented a room, and then we asked the students to come. As I told you, in Kabul and Ghazni, we just went to the schools, like Jahan Malik High School, and asked for a room to give for the parents of the or family of the students a room that they can get educated.
So that when you had the opportunity to locate a place that was neutral, that the families would be comfortable going into the schools, then you'd had more people showing up?
Yes, and they felt safe with the other woman, and also in this, inside the school, and also in the women affair.
And did men also attend these classes?
No, it was only women.
There was
The school,
just for the women.
Yes, just
yes.
for me, yeah.
But the whole families would show up. They'd bring all their daughters.
Yeah, in the beginning, yeah, they brought their daughters because as 15 or 16 years old girls, they were not allowed to go to school, regular school with the other girls. So we allowed them to come with their mothers.
So the Jihan Malika school that Rahima was talking about was a girls' school. It was for girls only, and it was run by a woman principal, which was kind of unusual in those days. The teachers, there were both men and women, and most of the principals were men. But when you asked how did we recruit
Right.
the students, I think certainly at the beginning, many of the older women who came forward to take the literacy classes were the mothers of girls who had started in school after the Taliban were ousted by the United States. The United States came to Afghanistan in 2002 after the 9/11 2001 attack by Osama bin Laden and his men against the United States. So in response, the Americans came and ousted him and ousted the Taliban regime. And then the girls came out of the woodwork, as it were. They showed up at the local schools and they said, hey, now we can go to school. We want to go to school. Let us go to school. And when Rahima, myself, and some other people came to Ghazni and said, we are willing to help set up a literacy program for older women. We call it the Widows Project because most of the women that we were dealing with were, in fact, widows. When we came, not only did people come to ask about it, but the girls who were in school, who had now been given a chance to go to school, brought their illiterate mothers who had never had a chance to go to school, and that, I think, was a large part of the first classes.
Let's take a moment and talk about how you were able to fund this program.
We funded it basically with local contributions from people around the Bay Area. We have a Facebook page. If you go on Facebook, you will find our page, and you will find a donation button. But mostly the dues from people who joined the Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee, the dues is very low, $5 and you're in. And we want to have as many people as possible, and that is the source of the money, mostly just local contributors. We are an all-volunteer organization. There's no staff to the Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee. We funded the people who went to Ghazni on behalf of the Sister City Committee, all funded their own travel and funded their own, except when the U.S. Army gave us a place to stay at one of their forward operating bases. That was for one of our trips. But otherwise, we paid for our own way, each and every one of us.
Girls Will Rule Afghanistan. The number that you can call to get more information to attend the March 7th International Women's Day, sponsored by the Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee, is 1-800-831-2339. And you can also take a look on the Facebook page, which is it the initials or is it the whole name? Hayward-Ghazni.
You go to facebook.com and you put in Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee. That should get you to it, or just go Google it.
And Rahima, tell us a little bit more about the numbers of people that would show up to the classes.
85 students. They were for 10 years almost in the classroom rooms.
What were the ages again?
The ages, they were, we were so fortunate that we had some of the girls that the parents, fathers didn't allow them to go to regular school. They trusted their mother to be with their mother. So we had also some young girls, 16 so up.
And then once the ladies would learn how to read signs, would that make them or put them in a position where they would be employable, or was it just was it a quality of life issue? How would you explain this?
I think we really made a change for their life, and in order to be able to come off their houses, go to school, and learn how to read and write. By this way, they also socialized in the classroom, and from each other, they learned how to find a job, and also how to progress. This way, we made this woman to get more eager to education. And so they were able to see more girls in the school. And they, I was even told that they wanted to learn English too, even.
English?
Yeah.
Yes, English. And so then my next question would be for both of you ladies, and thank you so much for joining me on the show. I wanted to ask a question about what happens when the woman does become more literate. Does she go back into an environment where it's difficult for her to apply her new skills? And what kind of jobs are out there for them?
From my experience in Kabul, we had the students at first and second and third grade, and afterwards she wanted to go to other school to be able to read 4th, 5th, 5th, and 6th. And then second year, I talked to her, and she said, I have my literacy class now. She was able to find job, and she was an Indian. She was working with the, so this way made her to be more flexible,
more employable also.
Employable,
yes,
and more. Yeah,
and so what kind of jobs are there available?
Mostly women in Afghanistan, they started from sewing and embroidery and sew clothes, sewing clothes. And
the textile industry,
textile
yes,
industry,
otherwise.
They started, yeah. And so we encouraged also the women in Kabul to have some bakery or something else, so we send money. But in Ghazni, just we try to educate them because it was really hard for them to come to school. Some of these women in Ghazni walked for 1 hour from small villages to come and to get educated. They were so eager. And we had, so remember Carol, that we had also almost 70 years old, a lady that she was walking, and she was so interested.
So all ages, all ages.
Yeah.
Once again, if you'd like to participate in the International Women's Day event, March 7th at the City Hall for Hayward, the sponsor is Hayward-Ghazni Sister City Committee.
The name of the celebration is Girls Will Rule Afghanistan, which for those who have followed Afghanistan is a big, big jump. It is at 6:30 at the Hayward City Hall. Hayward is our sister city with Ghazni, and it is on the 7th of March. And the phone number, give us a call if you have any questions, 1-800-831-2339. We'd love it if you RSVP'd at that number, or if you have any questions, 1-800-831-2339.
2339. Thank you so much for joining us. The Paula Fiscal Show. Stay informed. Watch the show at 3 p.m. on Sundays. And when you load up the YouTube, please hit the button to subscribe. Yes, if you subscribe, you'll get all of the latest videos. And Girls Will Rule Afghanistan. Thank you so much for watching.